Generate is supporting my vision to improve the financial literacy of 100,000 Kiwis by sponsoring Keep the Change. Cheers, Generate. Head to generatekiwisaver.co.nz/change to find out more. Welcome in. You are listening to another episode of the Keep the Change podcast. Thank you for tuning in. A reminder, if you put something on your socials and I see that, so tag Keep the Change, you go in the monthly draw for $500. If you're listening on Spotify, please leave a 5-star review. Comment if you're watching on YouTube so we can see what you think of these podcasts, and subscribe as well. Over 2,000 subscribers there. That's a lot of admin to get out of the way. Mikey, good to see you as always, mate, in the studio, ready to talk more about money.
Yeah, man. This is a good one, eh?
This is very important.
Yeah.
This is an unlock, I think.
When you said this, my brain went into hyperdrive and I was like, oh man, I need to go into a deep dark room and start getting my think on, eh?
I sent you a 2-minute audio, I think, trying to explain the topic and why it's important, and then I don't think I heard from you for 3 days.
Yeah.
I thought, fuck, you didn't like that one. But instead you were making, looks to be pages and pages of notes.
Yeah, there is pages on this one. This is an interesting one because getting closer to the money is, I think it's so important, eh? Because the closer you are to it, the more of it there is, the easier it is to get your share.
Yep. And
there are really big examples of this. Like we can see it in the oldest and most successful institutions of all time, the banks.
Fuck, I knew you'd have this example as well.
But it's so big and so successful. Now every other company is trying to get on the transaction book game, you know, We've got, first we had credit cards with Visa and MasterCard and American Express. Now your phone has Google Pay and Apple Pay, and everyone's trying to have a piece of this transaction because the closer you are to it, the easier it is to take.
Yeah.
And I think there are just examples of this everywhere in the world. And it's so attractive that people, you know, buy now, pay later. We're watching, what a stupid fucking business model. We give people, you shouldn't use buy now, pay later because we've talked about that a lot. But if your business model is, you know, you charge the vendor of the thing a little bit to try and make some money. But if your business model is to let someone have free payments, and then you make the majority of your money off them failing to make those payments, but then you're going to charge them a higher payment with a penalty later, good fucking luck. But the attraction of the transaction is what started up that idea, you know, and it's you have to recognize this right down to the little day-to-day thing that you're doing, you know, and it can come from, cool, I want to sell sunglasses, phone chargers, pies, and ice creams. Where's something that people transact a lot? Fucking gas stations. So now 1 in 2 people that go and get petrol in their car buy something else because they're right next to the transaction. Very clever.
Very.
And you see people congregate around high transaction areas, and it builds economies. Yeah, so I'm fired up. Let's get stuck in, eh?
Oh, how good. That's one of my final notes is banks make so much money as they're close to so many transactions. I was going to use that as the end of does it make sense now?
Yeah.
But you've started with it. But, you know, Stripe as well. Stripe charging, you know, that's in the middle of so many credit card transactions, and they're just taking a piece of, you know, so when I sell a webinar, for instance, for Next Advisory, I had 40 people come along, $4,000. Stripe are well, I'll let you take credit card payments, so you got to give us 3%.
Yeah,
happy days. So there's $120 for them.
They're just selling convenience, right?
Yeah.
So you can just be oh yeah, I'll plug this into whatever I'm doing, and then I know it will happen straight away, and I can trust it. It's the same as we keep we're getting sucked into this PayWave thing where you get 3% added on to everything you do, and you know because it's convenient, because it's more convenient than swiping the card. They're actually making the transaction process better for you, and then you get charged for it. So it's wild.
Yeah, so I think if you start with a bank and work backwards, because most people just complain about how much money banks make, but if you just think about it, why do they make so much money? It's because they're close to so many transactions, and they make billions. There's not many businesses in New Zealand that make billions of dollars of profits.
Billions.
Yeah, that is crazy. One in, you know, 15% of businesses, let's use that as an example, 15% of businesses in New Zealand turnover have sales of $1 million plus. That's it, 15%. Banks make billions in fucking profit. But you'll think like, oh no, it's because they charge interest. No, like that. It's not just that. They're so close to so many transactions. You're every one of your transactions they're a part of. So there's a good lesson in here. If you can get closer to the money, just like the banks have, then you can make more money.
Yep.
You might not be trying to make millions or billions, but there's a very good lesson in here. And we'll give you some examples as we go through this too. But use the banks as the answer of like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense.
I think the reason we're talking about banks is because it's an easy one to understand and you can visualize and you can see their profits and everything. But in general, it's like, who would transact the most? The people that have the most money. So getting close to that in general is a good idea, right? Like Graham Hart's PA probably gets paid more than my PA because I don't have $6 billion worth of wealth.
Yeah.
So, good for her. She deserves it or he deserves it or whatever. I don't even know if he has a PA. He probably will.
Definitely.
Probably got multiple.
Sure. Yeah.
Got a team. But, like that's an example of
getting closer to the money.
Yeah, getting closer to the money, which is just like we're just using the bank as the example, but it's the same across anything. It's the same for gigantic industries and revenue finds revenue, like the amount of businesses have started because of a smartphone.
Yeah.
Like the bolt-on effect of something, a market being so large is that the flow-on effect of being able to, of everyone else on that chain being able to make money is crazy. Eventually it peters out to nothing.
Yeah.
So you don't want to be that one over there because you're furthest away from the money, right? Like you want to try and work your way as close as possible.
Well, let's think about this and stick with banks and use your industry. So the bank are lending out money, right? And they're charging people interest for that. They can't even get to all of the people to service them. So then they lean on mortgage advisors and say, hey, can you go and do part of our role for us? This is how I see it in my head. I don't know if that's how the banks see it.
Yeah, I'll explain it to you in a minute.
Okay. And so then you get remunerated, or mortgage advisors and insurance advisors, etc., get remunerated for providing that advice for them. And they can still they can pay all of those people, and I think there might be 2,500 people in your industry.
Like that, yeah.
They can pay all of those people and still make billions.
What's interesting about the mortgage advisor industry is it's cheaper than previous. So previously, how over the last 10 years, how much have you heard, branches are shutting down, blah, 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 all of this. So like what's really expensive? Like
Retail,
office space,
sites, yeah.
Leases or real estate and rates and all of this stuff. And then you see banks build like massive buildings at Sylvia Park and put a whole lot of assessors in there. And then the other part of it is like, cool, we don't need that anymore because we can pay these mortgage advisors for doing that for us now. Like
they can go get their own leases.
Yeah, peasants, they can go do it. So they're incentivized to do it. The other part that's interesting, and I've been told like from other people inside the bank and things like that, is that when you're the bank on the corner, the branch, 100% of people that want a home, if there's no mortgage brokers, come in and ask if they can get an approval. And 30% of the people that walk through the door can actually be approved because they don't know. They're trying to find out. And you've got to have a conversation with 100% of them.
Yeah.
So that's an employee doing 70% of all of these stuff that you're paying someone for no return because the mortgage isn't happening.
It's not profitable, man.
When you give it out to a mortgage broker, 70% of the loans that go into the bank get approved. So the increase in the product that you're selling going out the door is massive because the mortgage broker is the one spending their time sifting out the ones that probably won't get approved and making sure that, you got to go and do this saving or get this increase in your pay before we can go and get an approval.
Yeah.
Massive time saving and cost. So the mortgage broker model, and some mortgage brokers get paid really good money, is way cheaper than like basically unproductive work for the banks, which is talking to people saying that they can't get approved, and then also paying for real estate all across the country, every corner of every town. That doesn't need to happen anymore. Wild to think about, but pretty impressive that someone at some point thought, let's shake up this model and really make it profitable.
Yeah, wow.
Wild, eh? I don't know who came up with it, but interesting.
One of my goals is to help 100,000 Kiwis improve their financial literacy and in turn help create a better New Zealand. Generate has a very similar goal to educate and empower Kiwis to make smart KiwiSaver decisions so more of us can be better off at retirement. That's why I'm stoked to have them on board as sponsors. Together, we can reach more people and make this goal a reality. If you've never got KiwiSaver advice before, book a no obligation chat with a Generate advisor at generatekiwisaver.co.nz/change. They'll even put you in the draw to win 5K worth of vouchers just for having a chat, whether or not you decide to sign up. T's and C's on that webpage. A copy of the product disclosure statement is available at generatekiwisaver.co.nz. The issuer of the scheme is Generate Investment Management Limited, and of course, past performance does not guarantee future returns. Well, I guess if we flow through that, so then you get remunerated, or mortgage advisors get remunerated for helping people get finance and whatnot, or the bank pays you. So you could identify that, and that's part of what attracted you to that industry, right? And you're getting closer to the money. So you then get your sales suite and you think, this is pretty cool. And then you realize how much money is actually there. And then your goal becomes, I probably could hire someone.
Yeah.
So now you go from being an employee to business owner to an employer. Yeah. And then you do that and you keep getting bigger, and then you got to pay more tax and stuff. So the IRD make their bit too. And then you're paying marketing. So people are then wanting to get closer to you. Accountants trying to tap into your revenue as well and charge you a bit. So people are going, oh, shit, they're making a bit of coin. That's a good business to be attached to. I could get paid here too. And so then you're finding the right types of services and you're weeding out the ones that you don't want. And then you go, right, bigger goals again. Now I might bring someone else on. Well, to do that, I'm going to need more work. And so then you start looking for different ways to do that. Okay, I might buy a book. I might buy someone else out. And so then you go to them. They've had money flow to them, and that you can see that money still flows out of that book. So then you purchase it off them. They take their money and they carry off into the world. Now, who's going to be good for them? Probably a boat manufacturer, probably a holiday home, the travel agent. So the travel agent, the boat owner, boat builder, etc., they want to be close to that person because they've got money that they might spend. So then you're on your journey. So then you go, right, I'm going to get someone else. And then that person goes, well, I came out of being a teacher, for instance, and I could see where my salary was going to go to over there, but I want to get closer to the money. Mikey's closer to the money. Mikey's closer to the bank, so that's closer to the money. That person starts doing quite well. And they're like, fuck, I probably need an accountant as well. I might need some marketing. I might need some admin resource. Someone gets closer to them.
Yep.
And you can see that it just takes one person to get closer to the money, and it creates all of this other opportunity for other people.
You just explained like my last 5 years.
Sorry, mate.
Yeah.
What did I miss? The part where you pay the money to the IRD, you love that bit.
Fuck, I love that bit.
You might get a nicer car,
Yeah, exactly.
So then
Honda's done real good out of me, man.
Well, that's what I was going to say, then when you go on to, and this is what I think European car dealers do quite well, is like, fuck, here's a tyre kicker, but in 3 years' time, because I've asked him, he's an accountant, he's got his own practice, whatever. Okay, I will walk around with this wounder. I will remember his name, we will get his number, we will keep in front of him, and then 3 years' time, bang, money flow. Okay, they've made enough money. I will have the Rowdy or the Merc or whatever.
Yeah.
And when you understand this, you understand how money flows through an economy and through people, then I think it just starts to make a bit more sense how the whole thing works out there. But it takes us to get a bit closer to the money. I think what I learned when I was growing up and starting to think about this stuff, or not growing up, but what I would hear people say is, hang around wealthier people, hang around richer people, get in the rooms with people with more money.
Yeah.
And you're kind of going, that can't really be how it works. But when the more you start to do it, you realize that's where transactions start happening, and where there's energy and people are vibrating on a different level.
Yeah.
And you pay $100 and you go to a conference, or $400 or whatever, and it's around all these people that are entrepreneurial and they're trying to make more money, or they're in your industry and they're at awards and stuff like that, and everyone's on the same sort of frequency, and they're trying to get closer to money, and you realize those are the people you want to surround yourself with.
It is, man, and it's a really interesting thing, because to think of it as percentages and things like that. If you've got $1 million cash in your bank account and I have $10,000 and something you're selling is $5,000, who do you think you've got a better chance of selling to?
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to feel it because you've got $1 million. You're going to cut my net worth in half. Like, so you kind of want to be closer to the person that's capable of spending it, right? And the trick is that those people don't just let you into their lives.
No.
So there's a little bit of a game you got to play there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I was explaining this to you yesterday, where some of the areas in my life, I'm a bit younger. And also I've come out of nowhere, so I've got to earn respect. And sometimes, like, what I've learned is, I probably need to transact for them to take me more seriously and play a little bit of their game and do some of those things. And years ago, I'd be like, oh, fuck that. You don't need to do that. Like, I'm pretty important. Look at what I can do. But then you realize, like, okay, actually, you need to flow money with them back and forth, or just be on their radar of like, oh, shit. They're doing money flow over there. Okay, that's my industry, or that's what I do. Okay, sweet. I'm going to take them a bit more seriously than just sort of that person that's doing their thing over there.
Or the value is undeniable.
Yeah. And sometimes it's just actually making an investment into future.
Yeah.
Knowing that, okay, this will create money flow in the future. So, and like sometimes the other way I've learned about this is do things for free the first time to add enough value to then go, okay, well, next time it's going to cost. And then you've created money for them. So you've flowed money to them by delivering on what you said you would.
Yeah.
And then they go, okay, now I will pay. Yeah. And if you think about that logically, that's basically what happens in my life now with Next Advisor and Keep the Change. People get a lot of value out of this. They end up getting in touch and saying, can you help with X, Y, Z? I say yes, or I say no. And if I say yes and they want to work with us, part of it is because I've already added so much value to them. They're like, okay, well, we're going to go with you. So money flows to me because I have created value. However, then what I try and think about for clients is, okay, where's their money flow? How can I get them closer to that? Who could I introduce them to? What could they be missing? And often I'll sit down with a business owner and basically work out, okay, what's worked well in the past? Like, where is your money? How can we go get closer to that? Why are we doing all this shit over here when the money flows over there? We need to, like, great that we're doing all that stuff, but let's just change the way that the money is flowing to us a bit more. We can collect a bit more of that. And, if you've been listening to this for a while now, you would have heard me say during COVID when interest rates were low, I'm like, there's a fuckload of money out there right now, more than ever in history. Your role is to go out there and grab a piece of it before it ends up in the property Ponzi. And what happened? The Ponzi went to the moon.
Yeah.
But some people would have heard that and gone,
I've got the perfect example of this.
Let's do it.
The photographer. Like, photography is an interesting game, right? It can be a tough one. Like, I've talked to some photographers that really struggle to get off the ground, really struggle to like find the niche where they can also, it's a lot of the time I see that it's like passion versus, like you still need capital. But I know a photographer that drives a Lamborghini because he does all the photographs for a real estate agency.
Smart.
And do you know what happens with real estate agencies? They do a fuckload of transactions.
Because why?
Because it's bolted to the printer.
Yeah, because they're close to the money flow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're close to the transaction, which is one of the biggest transactions people will make.
There's probably a team of like 6 to 10 people in this photography agency, and they only do real estate.
Yeah.
Wild. Like,
I heard someone saying the other day, the crook thing about real estate is that not only do they charge you a fee to sell your house, and they're like, hey, you're going to need some photos and videos and shit. They're going to need a marketing budget from you.
Yeah.
And they make the event, like they're the person that makes the good commission to sell your fucking thing for you. And they're like, but we need you to still pay for all the marketing.
Yeah.
But then the real estate agent's like, oh yeah, but you might cancel or whatnot. But I don't know. I just think with the fat commission that they get, can't they do that for you? Like, isn't that what you're wanting them to do? But instead they're like, nah, pay that for us.
I don't know.
Pay that to us as well.
Yeah.
I mean, they obviously are not going to agree with that. But the amount you spend on selling a property. But anyway, point being that it's close to the money flow.
Yeah.
And realistically, if you trace it all back, most of the money flow in New Zealand is property based, and it is either it's when the money, that's how money goes through the system, right?
Yeah, that's
Through
how we
new
create
lending.
new dollars in New Zealand. Yeah,
Yeah.
the main way. Yeah.
So you think about this as well, because we're going to have another wave at some stage. We will print more money.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to go through property. What's going to happen? You're going to have a bit more equity in your property. You're going to go, right, I'm going to get my fucking deck built. I'm going to bolt on a spa, whatever. And so the money's going to flow from the bank to you. Mikey's crew are going to clip the ticket a little bit by putting the debt in place if need be, or the bank are going to make some money out of you too. And then you're going to go, righto, I'm going to get Donald from down the road.
Yep.
Donald's decks.
Donald's decks, the tradies roll in and they collect a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Sarah's Spas comes around as well. And then the money just starts flowing through.
Yeah.
So, and then you can follow, like, where does that go? Well, then some of it goes to Lion Red. Some of it goes to the local pub. Some of it goes to the accountant.
So it should.
Yeah.
Great drop.
So the closer you can get to transactions and money flow, the more likely you will be to make more money. And this is why it becomes very important to understand that if you hang around broke people all the time, you'll probably end up broke yourself.
Yeah,
I know that sucks and that hurts because they might be lovely people and they might be amazing, but if your aspirations are to have more money, well, stop hanging around broke people.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal that, eh?
Sorry.
But it's so true, yeah.
Should I have left that bit out?
I have this like podcast brewing in the background that is like create your own bubble, which is effectively talking about that.
Yeah.
And, you know, you say that like a wealthy person is like, oh, they're in their own bubble, like doing their thing and they're not seeing what's real outside. I'm like, fuck, that sounds like a good idea to me. I don't really want all this negative stuff. I'd rather just be protected by wealth and live by a beach and, you know, go to the cafe and pay for my coffee every morning from a walk and like just control my own time. That sounds like the kind of bubble I want to be in. But, you know, and I've briefly brushed over this before. Is like you actually want to, it's a bit of a life hack to move into a nicer area and stuff like that too. Get around the right people. Like you said in Takapuna, there's some grunty businesses there, man.
Yeah. And
like,
a lot of happy people, prosperous type people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Compared
Like going
to those
for
in the
it.
CBD.
Yeah.
They're playing sport. They talk to you differently. I don't know if I've told you about this, but like often in the CBD, if you try and talk to someone in the lift, they'll be like, good. What?
Yeah,
like,
am I going to get stabbed? Like, are you on the way to a Michael Hill robbery or?
Yeah, and Takapuna, now you know you're like, how you going? Like, oh yeah, and like some guy said to me the other day, I said, how you going? He's like, any better, or I'd be rolling over or something. I was like, I don't even know what the fuck that means, but I'm like,
so good.
most people are like, oh yeah, not bad.
I think it's the beach, man, but yeah,
it could be that.
is.
So yeah, you go.
It is. It's important. Like, I always think about like the things that I have a little bit of an understanding about, and it's always like, you know, you have to earn this, but the guy that cleans cars for people, you know, Toyotas and, Teslas and all the basic cars, he probably doesn't make as much as the guy that cleans the Lambos and the Ferraris. So you can see this across any industry, from like car cleaning to gardening to lawn mowing to finance, and it's just the way it is. It's not, you can't change it. It's like, I want the best investment advisor I can get.
Yeah.
But I can't get him because he's working for Graham Hart.
Yeah.
So
Gotcha.
I can't afford him. But, that's just the rules of the game. So you need to figure out ways for you to get closer to this. And that's why life's hard.
I think this applies in so many ways, and I've got so many examples. And recently I was at a lunch, for instance, and I'm at an establishment where there's probably an expectation. Well, you're probably more likely as an employee there to be tipped there than you would if you were working at the coffee club or somewhere down the road.
Yeah.
And the people I was with lunch, one of them had a number of questions about the menu and all these different things, and the waiter was so patient and extraordinary, great banter, and the person was like, shit, you're going to get a good tip. And I thought, man, like, you're working in an environment where money flows, so then you're not just going to get paid your hourly wage, and you are more likely to have money flow to you. And they didn't even flinch because it's probably the expectation of what happens in that environment.
Yeah.
Now, if that person doesn't work in that environment and chooses somewhere where money doesn't flow as much, they're probably not as likely to get tipped and have money flow to them.
It's interesting. And not only that, in that environment, there are still business owners and entrepreneurs that are working on things to increase their money flow and lower their cost to do so. Like over in the Gold Coast recently, a couple of restaurants I went to, you don't even have people, man. You just scan it and order it.
Wow.
They got rid of the people. So there's no one to tip. It tells you on the app, like, do you want to tip? I'm like, fuck off, no one gave me any service. But like, it's got to the point where like there's a person that walks the food out. Soon that's going to be a robot, right? And, you know, there is a desire for super high quality service from people that can afford it, and they'll go to a different place.
Yeah.
And that's where you were, right? Like there's these people there and they understand the game. The people that are serving is like, I've got to make sure I provide really high quality service because it increases my chance of taking some of these wealthy people's money.
Yeah.
Pretty simple.
Another example, mate, that's just come to my mind is someone messaged me after the Super Rugby final and said, did you walk past the young lad who was doing the hot chocolates?
Oh, yeah?
Pissing down with rain. It was cold there, 44,000 people.
Yeah.
Apparently son and dad or mum and dad, and they're selling hot chocolates.
Yeah, but you sold a few.
Yeah, and someone said from Keep the Change that they wanted to flow them money. Like they were like, we wanted to support them.
Yeah.
You know, and you look at as well, that young fella who's gone, right, I want that bike. I don't know if you saw that on Instagram, want that bike. Apparently it's really expensive. A couple of people said to me, oh, fuck, it's a bit out of touch for like a bike a kid's one. I was like, fuck up. That's his goal.
Yeah.
Shut up. Like, it's nothing to do with you if it's a fancy bike. That's what the kid wants. He's going to go out there and he's going to get it. Get out of the way.
Yeah.
So he can't have that because he doesn't have the money. So he's like, okay, I need to ensure that money's going to flow. He's gone around his neighborhood, knocked on the door, handed out flyers. A Keep the Change follower was like, we're doing everything we can to figure out what jobs he can do. Wonder why? Because the kid's got a strong goal. And once you start to understand, money flow, you're like, well, we need to reward that.
Yeah.
Because who knows? Like that could take him, he might get that bike and become New Zealand's best mountain biker, for instance, and represent us as a country. Yeah. Like you just don't know what it leads to. And I think once you understand money a bit more, it's a tool, nothing more, nothing less. And like you see it flowing and you realize, okay, that could change that kid's life if he gets that bike. Yep. Equally, he could, fall off it, or he could think, oh, it's this is easy and just coast to the finish line from here. But
not really. Even if he doesn't like the bike, once he's got it, he would have learned some lessons on going on the journey of trying to find it. Because he's probably going to talk to, he says, I can do anything, right? Like I'll literally do the hardest jobs you want me to. So once he's got his bike, he's going to have probably 10 different things that he did. It might have been, one would have been stacking wood, one might have been cleaning toilets. And he'll figure out which ones he didn't value over the money that he got and never do them again. And then he'll figure out the ones that he did like and he'll probably double down on those. Yeah. So the lessons that come from finding the money are greatly valuable. It means you can multiply them and exponentially grow something out of it.
I think the cool thing too is imagine when that kid finally pays for that bike and he's riding around the neighborhood and everyone in the neighborhood's looking out going, fuck, he got the bike. That's powerful, man. Like that
should be inspirational.
Yeah. And some people will look out the window and go, oh shit, I wonder what he did. Like, I wonder what it was that he ended up doing.
Then in 3 years he'll be like, I'll hire you and show you.
Yeah. The other thing that I think, like, it's not always just about the money. And so I went to a lunch recently where, again, I'm the youngest there, but I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm hungry to go, because I get this concept now. This is what people told me ages ago. Get around people that are successful and that have not just got more money, but they're doing shit. So then if you can be close to them, when people are doing shit, they're normally transacting. So I'm sitting there, I'm learning. I'm like, okay, what's he doing? What are you doing? And like, oh, teach me about that, or help me understand that. I'm learning all these things and just soaking up this info. And then all of a sudden I'm talking to one of the guys about something that's coming up. And he's like, oh, mate, if you need me to introduce you to the CEO of blah, 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 just let me know and I'll fire you his number. I'm like, yeah, sweet, mate. Yeah, we'll do that. I'll let you know if I get stuck. I don't go to that lunch. I don't have that. We don't have that conversation.
Didn't get that at BNI.
Oh, got him. But that, and you start to realize like, whoa, you hang around people that are making shit happen. And if you're making shit happen too, then shit happens and money gets made. And
so true, man.
Yeah. And it's not just about the money. It's about, the way I'd word it is, it's people, connections, and solutions. So if you can get around people who are trying to solve problems, then, and not just like solve problems like, oh, how to make a bit of extra cash to have some more beers this weekend or whatever. Yeah. Like if the bigger the problems they're trying to solve, if you can get around them, money flows. Like that's where it lives.
Man, time back for convenience all the time, like
Yeah.
stupid shit. Because I'm like, I can't get out of like this right now. I need to finish it. I'll pay for something to like go away.
Yeah.
So yeah, and bigger problems to solve. If the problem's bigger, I pay more.
Love it. There was a young fellow who rang me the other day, mate, and he basically wanted to know, was real estate good to get into? I'm like, fuck no, houses cost so much, they're so expensive. But he meant selling real estate. I'm like, oh, yeah.
It's good.
So
Yeah.
I said, look, yes, if you've got the chops, because basically you're right at the coalface of the money printer.
Yeah.
People sell their property every 7 years. If you can hang in there for 14 years, you'll make more money than most people will in their life.
Yeah.
Fucking great industry to be a part of.
You're getting money that wasn't even worked for.
Yep.
Like it's literally off the press. Like no one worked for it. Like it's just freshly printed cash out of the loan.
Yeah.
That someone else is going to go and work for the next 30 years to pay it, and you're getting it on day one.
And hopefully they're doing that well that in 3 years' time they want to sell it again, and they get you to sell it again.
Yep.
And you're just printing.
Yeah.
And you get better and you get faster and you build up databases, you build networks. But I said, you're going to start from nothing, and you're going to start with no knowledge. So you've got to go and you've got to go on that journey. But think about it, man. That's 7 years to become a chartered accountant. If I do 7 years of real estate, probably would make more money.
Yeah.
Like I'd probably be at a better position to make more money because I'm closer to the money flow.
Yeah.
So I had to accept that that's not the path that I chose. So then I had to figure out, okay, if I want more money, then what am I going to do to create that? But, real estate, I think, is a good example of it. The other area that I think will become really important over time is not just real estate people, whatever the term is, but agents. Yeah. But business sales, because 1 and 2 businesses are owned by people over the age of 50. They're either going to shut them down or sell them. Now, there's not many business sales agents in the country. And some of those businesses get sold for a decent amount, and you're going to get paid a commission on that. Everyone gravitates to mortgages, real estate, and insurance because that's where the money flow is. But the money flow is going to change over time as well.
Fuck yeah.
So, if you can then get closer to transactions happening, and I like the people that I can see doing business sales now that are young, I'm like, oh man, if they do this for 40 years, fuck, they're going to be minted.
Yeah.
And it'll be like, what did you do? Oh, I help people buy and sell businesses. And
Yeah.
like, like how do you have that house and that car?
Yeah.
And people, but if they stay on that path, shit, man, there's some big businesses coming to the market, and like a little slice of that, and you help your vendor do well.
Yeah.
Man,
it's
they
more
look
interesting
after you
too.
Yeah. So I think those are two, two good examples. But I guess like think about this: if we go back to property, if you want to be a property investor, then instead of being a property investor, why don't you think, like, if you really love property, well, get out of what you're doing at the moment, go be a real estate agent, make more money than you ever would have, learn more about the market, learn about buying, selling, learn about undervaluation, all of that shit, learn how it all works, and then take your commissions, pay your tax, park it, and then every year you buy another fucking property.
You're thinking too clearly, man.
Sorry, mate. Sorry.
That is like, I know heaps of real estate agents that have property portfolios.
Yeah.
Because they've got access, they've learned the skill.
Yep.
And they know like when to buy it at the right price, what time to buy it. Like they are, do you know some real estate agents that I have as clients that are good agents, good operators? They're probably some of the best people I know at paying off debt. Fuck, they demolish debt.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then like they might make $1 million a year or something, and like tax comes out, there's 600 left or whatever, and like 350 of it is going to deleting debt.
Yeah.
Machines at it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they run all their properties on interest only, but they're capable of knowing that game. They're not, because they've got the discipline.
Yeah, nice.
And portfolios of 7-10 properties and shit like that. But I don't hate on like any of that because they know how to do it and they do it properly, eh?
Yeah. If that's for them, sounds boring to me. But anyway.
Yeah.
but it's almost like, I guess, a lot of people are like, I want to get into investing in property. It's like, well, how much do you really want to get into it? And like I said to this young fella, I'm like, if that's what you want to do, property investment, well then do real estate and do it for 10 years, do it for a decade.
Yeah.
Like you're whatever age now and you don't know what you want to do. If you do this for the next 10 years, even if you find out after 2 you don't like it, sweet. But I'm like, I said, for 2 years, you're going to be in a grind and it's not going to work and you're going to think, oh, this sucks. But if you hang in there for 7, you're going to be creaming it. I just want to make a point as well. So hang around people who are closer to money is the theme of this, right? But stay away from non-genuine people. So stay away from the wrong sort of money.
Yeah, you do have to be careful with that, eh?
Yeah. And they're like, you got to understand their reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
it can be difficult to find honest and fair people around.
Yeah, man.
Normally over time you end up with a good group of people around you if you're one of the ones doing the right thing, I think.
And a good gut feel for it.
Yeah, it becomes an instinct, eh? I think it's important.
I had a guy say to me once, like, 'cause I was kind of fresh to something, and he rang me and said, mate, if you ever need me to basically do a CV check for you, just ring me and I'll tell you whether they are, I shouldn't say this word, but a CUNT or not.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And yeah, a couple of times I had to make a phone call and be like, okay, this is going on. No, Luke, stay away. Okay, that's all I need to know. Thank you.
Yeah.
Done. Sweet. And they basically said to me, like, did I ever put you wrong? I'm like, nope.
Yeah.
So, you know, sometimes, like, if you're doing enough and you're transacting, you're adding value and you're genuine, like, genuine people will be attracted to you. But so will non-genuine people, and you'll get, if you're genuine, you'll be able to smell like what it is that they're trying to do.
Yeah.
But also other genuine people will try and protect you because they want you to keep going and they want you to. So, you know, let's say, for instance, that kid with that bike, for instance, wants to do all these jobs, but all of a sudden, a bit of a, you know, interesting character in the neighborhood is like, yeah, come around here and there's a lot of stuff you can do around this house. Your neighborhood's going to be like, actually, you know what?
Yeah.
But you come do my firewood, mate. Cause,
next thing you know, Mikey turns up with a baseball bat.
Yeah.
Time to sort this out, boy.
Because we're not sure what happens over those fences. So, you know, and so like genuine people look after genuine people non-genuine people normally congregate with more non-genuine people. And then they believe what they're doing is genuine and it's fine and whatnot. So money will flow to the wrong places. You need to, in yourself, understand values, morals, ethics, shit like that to go, is that, like, money's flowing? Do I fucking really want to be tapping into that stream?
Yeah.
You might be drinking from the wrong stream, you know. You might be quenching the thirst, but you might be drinking from the wrong stream.
Yeah. And you do have to, it's a bit of a natural instinct you sort of garner after a while, and you have to be brave enough early on when you're going down that road because you kind of, you want to be a bit of a yes man at the start when you're trying to get onto something, but you do have to make sure that you keep your morals and your stuff in check, eh?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so I've got you getting brokers, and then even like with the horse racing stuff for me, when I figured out where sort of money was flowing in the industry, I could then get contractors and hire some help and ensure that people who were given their time could be paid something. And so because they're getting closer to me and I'm figuring out, like I'm having to figure it out. And so I think if you individually can spot people who are making shit happen, they're great people to get close to because it increases your likelihood to get paid.
Yeah.
So that's why so many people now ring Mikey saying, hey, I want to think about becoming a mortgage advisor. Can I come and work for you?
Yeah.
Now you'll filter out who's cut for it and who isn't, but they've got a starting point. And what they're starting with is basically, looks like he knows what he's doing. He's transacting. He's solving problems. He's making money. I should probably go get closer to that. Probably better person to ring than someone who's just started and it's like, oh fuck, man, I haven't done any loans yet. It's not happening. So success leaves clues.
Yeah, success provides evidence.
Yeah. And, you know, like Jade came and worked for us at Next Advisory, and once we start making a bit of coin, and she's been able to do a number of different things and move to the Gold Coast and work from over there at the moment and stuff as well. And she's gone, right, you know, there's opportunity for her with us because money is flowing. Same thing with clients, where there are clients where I think, if I link that one up with that one over there, they could transact. And then that one's like, fuck, thanks, mate, for doing that for me. I'm like, no worries, man. I'm your accountant, but I'm also doing a bit of BD for you.
Yeah.
Happy days.
Yeah.
And that adds value, and it's just bringing people closer together that can transact. And that's that's how you build an economy and solutions and things like that.
Yeah, and people that want to grow and stuff, you can't do it without transacting. So like it breeds this internal economy between all these people that get closer and closer and then operate together. And you know, you're a client of someone, and then you have clients, and you're always in between all this stuff, and you just want to be continuously moving up to the next bracket.
Yeah.
Always. Like, that's the game.
In my space as well, Xero, the accounting software, was nothing once. But I'll never forget hearing someone who...
I'll never forget you not buying shares.
Well, I'll never forget someone who did have shares as an employee there, talking about how they were able to pay off their mortgage and buy an investment property. I'm like, fuck, you shouldn't have sold your shares, you dickhead. But that completely changed their life.
Yeah.
And they went to...
That is life-changing.
Yeah. And they went to where the money flowed.
Yep.
And like Rod Drury built that beast up. And there's other people involved, obviously, but you know, that's someone that's making shit happen. Mm-hmm. It becomes a big fucking thing. Mm-hmm. And now you've got individuals that are going like, oh shit, I'm mortgage free.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I think there's a lot of chat around start a business, build wealth and things like that. Yeah, that's the path to build something big and big wealth, and numbers don't lie. Check the scoreboard, check the rich lists around the world. It's normally business, not rental properties. Mm-hmm. But equally, if you're bolting yourself onto something that's going somewhere, then it could turn into more wealth than is possible for people who are even starting a business or trying their own thing.
Yeah.
It can be done.
So that guy has more wealth than me, and I have a business, but he was an employee.
Yeah.
Pretty simple to see that, right?
And it was a she as well, mate.
Oh, she. Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So, like, it just shows that it can be done. So I think whatever profile we are looking at things, then there's always someone that's like, well, this is what I did. Like, oh, easy for you to say. Yeah, I know because I did it. So now what? So it's easy for me to say because I did it. It's hard for you to say because you're not fucking doing anything. So
Yeah.
Anyway, so that brings me then to like AI.
Ooh.
Now that's the gold rush at the moment, right? And that's where all the money's flowing. And so I saw something the other day about all the companies in America talking about AI or using AI in their earnings calls, and it's like the graph's like this
funny,
because everyone's talking about it because money's flowing to it. And so there's a lot of artificial shit there. No doubt. And like even in the crypto space, for instance, when that was all blowing up, it's everyone's talking about that and NFTs, man. Do you want to join my community and my Discord and stuff? Because there's so much money flowing to it. And then it all just like dies down again. But you have to then be careful what's genuine, what's not genuine.
Yeah, well, the difference between like crypto and AI is AI might actually be useful. And crypto's dog shit.
Yeah, except for Bitcoin.
Except for Bitcoin,
you're a big fan of. Yeah.
But it's interesting, like it has to be able to solve a long-term use case or have a long-term use case. And I do think AI is going to be pretty life-changing over the next few years.
Well, I think it's already been life-changing, mate, because check this shit out. So from fortune.com, AI stock frenzy helps mint 500,000 millionaires in the US, trouncing the rest of the world.
Wow.
Okay, and that's US dollars.
Yeah.
So
that's insane,
crazy.
Eh?
500,000 people have become millionaires through holding stocks with something to do with AI.
Yeah. Do you know what was interesting is...
On paper, that is, I should just say, because everyone gets carried away with this shit.
Yeah. I follow hardly anyone on Instagram, and the Instagram algorithm is, whenever I open it, is always trying new shit on me.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't know what I like. So one of the things that popped up the other day was one of those kids that walk around to like someone in a Ferrari and they ask him what to do. And the car caught my attention, so I watched it. And it was the guy was talking about he made like $48 million or something. And it was an AI. And I was like, oh, cool. And then I think this is important too, and this isn't going to be how it always is. But he started this in 2017.
Nice, love that shit. Yeah,
realistic. So AI, we think AI is like a year old.
Yeah.
This guy's like, I did 5-6 years of Xero.
Yeah.
And then we had a boom this year because the product was finally viable for the market.
Yeah.
And like he was broke the whole time, and then he finally bought his Ferrari or whatever. But like, yeah, be careful, eh? Like it was pretty cool to remember that because like I'm probably using AI. I'm probably using it daily now.
Yeah. Easily, not daily, but easily weekly, but probably multiple times per week.
Yeah, I'm probably the same. So it's obviously going to have a very strong use case. And
I think we all use it daily without realizing we're using it.
Well, yeah, all your predictive texts, that's what that is. You know,
like
we're
everything. Actively trying, right?
Yeah, so now I'm going to ask it things and you know, try and build reports and all sorts of shit. But yeah, I think it's important to remember that. Like, just don't get too blinded by the gold rush because the guy that actually has the gold is 7 years in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just now that you mention Ferraris, Lambos and shit, wouldn't it be a great idea to stand outside a Lamborghini dealership or a Ferrari dealership and figure out, okay, who are these people? What do they do? Hey, can I be involved in some way? Is there anything I can help with? Most people aren't going to be brave enough to do that.
No.
But what does happen, and why I think when people get successful and buy cars like this, what they do, and I've seen this in business a lot with golf, is that they go, I'm going to be part of the Lambo club, the Ferrari club, the Porsche club, because who's part of those clubs? People who transact, people who solve problems, people who have got connections, people who have got relationships, people who have got money flowing.
Do you know what? It's actually the car company's ideas to build those on purpose. Like if I go order a brand new Ferrari and I get invited to like 4 of their Ferrari days per year, they know that if they take these same like-minded people along, that stuff will happen, and that happened at Ferrari, and they're more likely to buy another Ferrari.
Yeah.
Like it's genius.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's funny as. It's so clever.
And like a recent example for me is someone telling me how much a golf membership was to go whack a white ball around with a fucking metal stick. And I'm like, really? Is that?
Hey, real estate is expensive. It takes up a lot of real estate.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I'm thinking, like
my
how
golf
do you
membership,
price
I don't even play. It's $3,500 a year.
Really?
Yeah.
Whoa. And the amount was more than minimum wage for the year.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
if you go to like Tahiti and stuff like this, it's 100 G's.
Jeepers.
Yeah.
Anyway, they said to me about a couple months later, I saw them like, yeah, already made it back. I'm like, really? Yep. Because who's there?
Yeah.
People that can afford to be, people that are doing deals, people transacting, people solving problems, people had to go, fuck, money flow.
Yeah.
And like once you start seeing this shit, you can't unsee it. And
do
then
you know
you realize.
what's funny about that as well is if you buy real estate in these places, like, do you know who hasn't had a downturn in real estate? Queenstown. Wonder why. Who's there?
Massive money flow.
Yeah. Like,
Demented people.
Everything there's this direction, you can see it.
Yeah.
And like, it's almost like our job is just to get closer to it.
There's a good saying, I can't remember whose it is, but it is basically go to where the puck is going. Someone talks about that in business, or like why they were really good at ice hockey, I think, is because instead of, doing what everyone else is, they're trying to go to where the puck's going to go to. And that is the same principle. Why don't you go towards where the deals are going to get done, where the money's going to be? And if you can start to learn more about that, it can be very, very helpful. Now, I've got another example, mate, that I thought I'd be well prepared this time. So the stock, Nvidia, fucking what's it called? Not Arvida in New Zealand, trust me on that one. Down 40%. But if you need to send your parents to rest care, I'd highly suggest Ryman or Arvida. And then get them a reverse mortgage with Heartland, because I was really banking on the boomers to increase my wealth, and they've really fucked me by not using those two, nor taking out the Heartland reverse mortgage. Anyway, I found this article, now it's not loading, which is mint. But if you think about Nvidia.
Yeah.
Like, I know nothing about it. Like I've kind of seen really. The market cap
kind of make
bigger.
The GPUs that's needed for AI compute.
Gotcha.
And they've kind of got a monopoly on the market at the moment in a way.
And there's so much money flow to that they're getting their chunk of it. Yeah. So, damn it. Employees who joined Nvidia 5 years ago are now millionaires and coasting in semi-retirement. So now what's happened? This article is about how the CEO is having to be like, hey guys, keep the fucking foot on the gas, because they're all so minted now.
Yeah, yeah.
Because they had stocks in the business, and they're like,
I got a couple of mil, I'm done, baby.
Yeah. And it's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Like there's been so much money flow to this, but these employees have become millionaires because they've gone to where the money's going to flow to. And now the CEO is having to like talk to the board, being like, okay, I'll shake them up. I'll get them to, keep going and keep innovating. But yeah, this says here, not all NVIDIA employees think they're rich. As one NVIDIA engineer earning $250K a year, that's a 1% income in New Zealand. Oh, that's US too.
US,
so sorry. It's a 0.1% income of 400 grand and above. Shared employee salaries at the company are only impressive at first glance. He explained that although some NVIDIA employees might be lucky enough to become millionaires, $1 million doesn't go too far. What happened to the world? Imagine that.
I know.
Your fucking employer makes you a millionaire, and then you go onto an article and you're like, $1 million isn't much, man.
I'd fire that person, eh?
Like, can we see how broken money is when someone has got 1.6 million Kiwi dollars and they they've done that through being an employee of a business, and they're like, well, look, it's not that big of a fucking deal because it's not much money anymore. How sad is
that? For 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter that you've got another 45 left in your life that you can go and do more of that.
No. So, I mean, that article was fascinating, but I think it's another good example of money flowing to something.
Yeah.
And this is also why a lot of people leave New Zealand to go to Australia. There's more money flowing over there. They go to America to have a crack at a massive market, 330 million people. Kiwis, they export. Fonterra send their milk off. We got apples going out of the country. We're going to where the money is going to flow for it. And this is a principle that if each of us individually can understand it better, it can unlock so many chapters and solutions for you that your mind previously wouldn't have been able to see.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of what people would say that would be bad. I think it would be like, there's so much competition there for that person's money, or that, competition is like validation that it's there. And then that is cool, because it doesn't mean you have to create a new market or anything fancy like that. You can just slot in, and then your job is to compete.
Yeah.
And competing is easy because when you're on your own or small starting out, you have nothing but time. So you can go over and above for doing what you do, and then grow, and then eventually you can overtake people and take their position. That's how the market works.
Yeah. Yeah. That just now makes me think, when you say overtake, thinking of Formula One, how much money flows into that sport. And then you got Netflix, and then you look at all the sponsors on those vehicles. And that's purely because
insane dollars, man.
Yeah, eyeballs have flown to it. And yeah, the other example, I guess, is that I saw something really cool this morning, and it said people used to want to get minted off of real estate, but you can also get minted off of Reel, R-E-E-L. The new real estate is social media, and many people haven't figured out how to make money from it.
Yeah.
And that's where you've got to go from consumer to producer.
Yeah.
But think, like you said before, how many millionaires and how much transacting has happened out of social media.
It's wild.
I've even heard like exclusive brethren are like, fuck, what's this social media thing? Like, we need to get our businesses on there. We're changing the rules, man. It's all good to use it for your business.
Yeah.
I wonder why. Because there's so much fucking transacting going on there.
Because there's an incentive.
So, everybody has to think about this stuff. My last example, mate, we've got someone helping out at Next Advisory at the moment, and they're in a contracting type capacity. Probably been less than a month. I've already fed them 5 leads, and they've said like, "Oh shit, I've converted a couple of those. Like, thanks a lot." And I'm like, "Sweet, you want to get going? So we're going to give you a hand." But all it is that he's bolted himself onto an established vessel. We've got flow of leads and stuff, and we've got stuff that we don't want to do, but I still want them to be helped. So I'm like, "This guy will help you." So then he rings them. He's just like, "Sweet, that was great. Thanks, mate."
This is the exact same as my mate who started being a self-employed plumber a couple of years ago, and when he was starting out, he was using like Builders Crack, that app thing, and then in his downtime when he didn't have other jobs, he would contract to another plumber who was bigger and more established and doing lots of big jobs, and then eventually his personal work, the stuff coming in from word of mouth, he could cut off the Builders Crack and doesn't need to pay that anymore. And then eventually he can't do the work for that guy. And now it's like, oh, cool, do I hire someone? And it just starts going. And because he like stayed closer to these places where they transact, now he's got ownership of the whole thing and doing it on his own.
Yeah, I think it's really important to understand that this isn't just about business or making more money in different formats. It's a principle that you can also use in your career, where if you are on a ship that's going somewhere and has a destination and there's money coming to that business and they're solving a big problem and shit's happening, there's a likelihood that you're going to be part of something that's bigger. And so attaching yourself to those sorts of people who are doing that and getting around the right types of people is so important. And everybody's heard the saying of, the 5 people you spend the most time with. Realistically, people don't think about that with their career. They just think about their 5 mates and who they hang out with this weekend. What are the people like that you spend your day with? Yeah. And what's the person like that you spend your night with at your house or in your bed? So there's 3 sort of components to that.
Or the cat.
Yeah. What's it? Are they scratching you? Put a flea collar on them and boot them out? That's a dog maybe. Anyway, get around the right types of people. And the more you can weed out the people who aren't going somewhere, it speeds you up, because it's one less people slowing you down.
Dead weight.
Yeah. And I talk about it in terms of like rowing, like row the boat in the same direction. So often with people where I'm them, going to lunches and I'm trying to understand, like, what are you guys trying to achieve? Because if I can figure out, okay, can I help them, like they're rowing their boat, can I, get in and just do a couple of rows, but they get there a bit faster, but I could contribute, then shit happens.
For sure, man.
Yeah, and if you can then figure out how to slot into that stuff.
It's just a sport.
Yeah, bingo.
It is.
Yeah.
It's so true.
Right, that's been fun, mate. I knew that would end up nearly being an hour. Did we miss anything?
That was meant to be like 20 minutes, wasn't it?
Yeah, see, that should take half an hour, but see, by the time we get going, you never know, it could be an hour. All right, mate, happy Matariki to everybody out there. That is the day of recording for us. There has been a wealth of knowledge in there, and you might have to go back and listen to it in the future, and maybe even again next week, just to get some of the lessons that you might not have heard the first time. But I can promise you this is how I've made more money in my life. Yeah. And sometimes I pay to get closer to people who are doing shit because I know that it's actually an investment. So it's a bit like that guy, the mentor said to me, why do you want to invest into main freight to get 5% returns? Same sort of thing. I'd go, right, fuck, am I going to have to spend $1,000 to go to this thing or do this thing that's worth 10 grand? Am I going to make that back? Like, yes, I will, because I'm going to get to deal with them more, transact with them more, and it'll come back to me in the future. Yeah. So that's investing in yourself and other people. That's not just like stack it, dollar cost average into the share market. This is where I'm chasing my 50, 40, 100% returns. Yeah,
100%, man. Man, awesome.
Right, what a pod. Let's get out of here. 5-star review on the way out. Subscribe, like, YouTube, all that sort of shit. I don't know, anything else. Share your TikTok. Yeah. and don't get caught up in the comments on TikTok. We'll see you on the next episode.